Welcome to Results with Drones, the podcast for those who want to know how and learn best practices on using their drones commercially. Join us. If you're into drones and want to know how you can make money commercially from their usage, or if you're a professional photographer or cinematographer and want to add a new tool to your toolbox, this will be the show for you.
Hi, I'm your host, Sam Butterfield, and this is episode 1, Safety First, with Mr. Grady Boyce of SkyGen Aviation. In this episode, we'll be talking about what drone operators need to think about before they take to the sky. A short while ago, I had the pleasure of attending a discussion on drone usage and regulations at B&H Photo in New York City. The two speakers were Mr. Parker Jokers of Propeller Heads Aerial Photography, who we look forward to be speaking with at a later date, and our guest today, Mr. Grady Boyce of SkyGen Aviation. For over 16 years, Mr. Boyce has been a flight instructor and a pilot for a major U.S. airline. He is also working with the Federal Aviation Administration Safety Team, also known as FAST, that's F-A-A-S-T, to help develop safety standards and processes with a goal of improving air safety. Approximately a year and a half ago, he, along with the former Deputy Director of the FAA Flight Standards, John McGraw, started SkyGen Aviation. Their company writes and gathers all the paperwork which is needed for submission to the FAA for obtaining a 333 exemption, which you know is currently the only way you can legally fly a drone for compensation. Some of SkyGen Aviation's clients so far include a wide slice of industries such as Liberty Mutual Insurance, Precision Hawk, who focuses on agricultural data, Aerial Mob, who focuses on movies and commercials, and Auburn University. They provide their customers with knowledge and the skills they've attained from years of experience in manned aviation. Grady, welcome to Results with Drones.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Let's jump right into what many hobbyist drone operators are thinking. Before someone says, I want to make money with my drone, what steps must they take first?
Well, before you want to make money, you want to go into a commercial venture with drone, I'd say the very first thing you need to do is define your mission, define your goals. That's going to help you understand what kind of operation you're going to conduct, what kind of aircraft you're going to need, what kind of aerial platforms you'll need to lift. Once you've decided those, then you can start proceeding into the business aspect. And the very first step is going to be, as you said, securing your Section 333 exemption so that you're able to fly drones or UAVs legally in the United States.
Is a 333 really needed at this moment? And what if you don't get one?
Yeah, it is needed at the moment because it's in effect your license for commercial operation. So there are three basic aspects of flying right now. There's the hobbyist side, commercial, and the public. The hobbyists are those that just generally do it for recreation. Commercial is in the furtherance of a business. Now, within that definition doesn't mean for monetary compensation, but furtherance of a business we can go into later. It's a pretty expanded clause. The third is a public entity, which is a fire department, a police department, things of that sort. So for the commercial aspect right now, the Section 333 exemption is the only road to have a legal license to make money to further your business when using UAVs. Now in the future, FAR 107 will probably be the avenue, but that date of implementation is still to be determined. So the 333 is all that the public has available to them today.
So we shouldn't be holding our breath saying we'll just wait for that 107 coming up.
No, I would not. From just looking from the business aspect of it, because once you start to get into the business piece, you're investing in your company. At the same time you're making those capital investments, you need to start preparing for a return. And the FAR 107 could be delayed. It could come out in the summer. We really don't know. The FAA is working hard to get it out right now, but what could hamper the process, it's a very long system for them to implement a new rule. And once the rule is crafted within the FAA, it has to go through various organizations that can approve or deny or have comment on it. And that can often stop that process and create further delays. So having said that, the 333 is in place today. The 107 is in the future. I would not wait. I would start the 333 process, and if in the interim 107 comes in, address that issue when the time comes.
Great. Okay. What particular safety tips and advice can you offer to the hobbyist drone operator who wants to make that transition to commercial drone operations?
Wow, so the safety tips. The very first thing I would say is a lot of experience and a lot of practice. To not assume that these are as easy as they're made to look sometimes on YouTube videos, because these drones have two ways of flying really. One's in the GPS mode, and one is in the full manual mode.
Right.
Now, granted, when GPS is working and everything's great, that's fine. But if if you're conducting a mission on GPS and for some reason have to take tactical control of the airplane, put it into manual, you need to know what you're doing on the aircraft, because you can get easily disoriented with these, where your controls at the handheld controller can become crossed. And you may want to go left, but instead you're going right.
Forward is backwards, backwards is forwards, left, right is left.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that limitation could be a big piece. The other part is to be very methodical about your operation. When you buy a UAV, a drone from any of the manufacturers out there, you get some sort of a user manual that tells you a little bit about the aircraft, but it really doesn't break down the practical nature of flying into steps. So lay out what your operation will be, your pre-flight, your takeoff checklist, your landing. This is, in essence, aviation. So approach it from that aspect, and you'll start to develop a foundation of safety.
So going by the seat of your pants and just saying, yeah, nothing will go wrong, everything's fine, it's not the way to go.
No, that's not the way to go. Fixed wing aviation, manned aviation, or UAVs, because that very day something will go wrong that you had not contemplated, and you need to be ready. Not only for your safety and the aircraft safety, but those of the people around you. And let's say you're up against a wind turbine or a solar farm, and the aircraft starts to have a flyaway. Something goes wrong. You will have millions of dollars in assets that your UAV is right next to. So you need to be prepared for that aspect as well.
Yes, that will be another topic at a later discussion. Insurance for your service when you're using your drone. Should anything
good topic.
Should you accidentally bump into something while you're out there on a commercial operation, and oops, knowing what to do and what you're covered for and what you're not covered for will be a topic for a later discussion.
Very good one. Look forward to that one.
Okay. In your opinion, what are one or two of the biggest challenges you see for both the public and those people looking to monetize their drone usage? Like as far as privacy goes, and as far as having a proper manual and a set of instructions of what to do?
Yeah, so one of the biggest challenges, I think, for the general public right now, and by public, I'm going to take the perspective of those outside of the UAV operation,
right,
is to really understand what the UAV operation is, what it's capable of, what its limitations are. We're not talking predators and reapers in your backyard, but we are talking something that has some mass and can cause some damage or be flying in close proximity to you. So you need to understand what this really is. And I would recommend to anybody in the general public, if you see such an operation occurring, take the time to go talk to the operator.
Sure.
Wait till the operator lands, and then once the tension is off the aircraft, talk to them about the operation. Become educated in what this really is. The AMA can help in some respects. Your FAA can. Any number of folks can help out with understanding that a bit more.
And as far as the drone operators go, that also has to be their responsibility or an incentive, an opportunity for them to speak to the public at large and say, this does not have a missile on it. This is not looking over your backyard, seeing what you're doing, or looking in your bedroom window. This is what we're doing. This is how we do it. And this is the type of resolution we're getting. You can show them a still photo of what you've just taken. And just being open to the public and allaying any concerns they might have before it gets into a mess.
Absolutely right. Yeah, take that time, that extra care and caution to speak with them. And you bring up a great point. One thing that an operator can put in their arsenal that might be quite useful. Let's just take the DJI Phantom. It's a fairly standard aircraft out there.
Never heard of it. Sorry.
Huh?
Never heard of it.
Never heard. Yeah. Lay out a dollar bill, a ruler, a yardstick, and go up at 100, 200, 300, 400 feet, shoot those images of what you see to help somebody. And you can even keep that in your arsenal and go, here's the resolution that we're getting. So you're in your backyard reading your book. I can't see what you're reading. They'll help them understand that it's not this sci-fi capability of zooming in and reading their particular license plate. albeit there are some UAVs that can do that. But they should be able to show what their current aircraft is capable of doing in that respect. And the other challenge this does bring in on the operator side is you really need to think about this, is your data control policy. Because if you are conducting an operation, a chip only knows to acquire the light that hits the chip.
Right.
And it doesn't know what's on that. It's not going to discriminate. So what are you going to do with that data once it's captured? So if you're supporting police and fire, there may be some legal aspects of that image you just captured. If you're doing real estate, it may capture somebody in the backyard of somebody else's house.
The neighbor's backyard, right.
Yeah, so you need to be cognizant of these pieces. And what is your policy going to be to handle that? Because invariably somebody may ask you about that.
Yes, don't always defer it to somebody else saying, I shot this photo. For a real estate agent, it's their property, it's their duty to blur out the neighbor in the next door backyard.
Yeah.
It's good to have it written down as saying who is responsible for that prior to the neighbor saying, we're going to sue you and cause all other types of mudslinging, to say the least.
You're absolutely right. And one of the things that I will often interface with clients and talk to them about is, let's go to the Section 333. You can get these from a variety of sources. You can go to law firms, consultants, you can do it yourself. You can go to template services, which is pretty popular to do. But what those don't do is they don't establish your business policies, practice, and procedures. Because if you want to go into business in this field, you're going to need to be able to present to somebody, what is my method of conducting business, such as what we're talking about now with data acquisition. How am I going to fly the airplane? What are we going to do with it afterwards? Flying the UAV is a very small segment of what the business is. So be cognizant of the whole business picture that has to come into play when you're doing this for a commercial operation for you.
Absolutely. Everybody should know that it's not just taking out your little recreational hobbyist drone, taking it up, snapping a couple pictures, handing off the chip or the JPEGs or the movie files, and say, well, that's it, I'm done, give me my money. There are a lot of nuances that everybody needs to think about prior to getting up into the sky. It's the what-if scenarios, it's the what happens after the data is delivered to the client, and all important things that have to be thought about before you take it to the sky.
Exactly right.
You mentioned some of the templates that people use to get the 333.
Yes.
Would you share with us how your business differs from others offering a similar service or those who want to do it themselves?
Absolutely. So doing it yourself, let's take that approach first. You can go on the FAA's website. You can do some research as to what you need to lay out for the FAA. And your paperwork submission via the Federal Register website, regulations.gov. Now, you need to be really, really careful of what you ask for in your exemption. For example, I was brought in on one case where a person was granted a Section 333, didn't read what they wrote, and they wrote specifically in there that they will not operate a UAV around people. Then they were applying for permission to shoot a festival. And so it doesn't work. So you need to be very, very careful about what you ask for, because what we always hear, be careful what you ask for, you just may get it. You want to be precise. The template services will construct a cover letter for you that will allow you to help get that Section 333, and that's all it does. What we get involved in is we help companies structure, back to our data discussion, what are your data policies? What are your maintenance policies? What are your flight training programs? What is your safety risk management policy, which is huge. Safety risk management, what it does, kind of in a nutshell, is it takes a look at an operation. And we understand, you take aviation, that there are inherent risks to aviation. But now when you take that and you go to a new place to conduct an operation, are there new risks that are introduced to make it more hazardous, less hazardous? What are you going to be conducting? What's going to happen? And then you have to assess, I may need to make a mitigation, like not fly too far to the right because there are power lines.
Yes.
Okay? So that part of the operation, you may have to tell the client, I will not fly over there. Here's the risk, and the risk is too high. And then if you can make a mitigation to bring that risk down, then you need to, over the course of your operation, look at that and see, is the mitigation working? It may not. So safety risk management is a living, breathing action that has to occur when you're on site. So we help folks understand what that is, how to conduct this operation going forward, and making yours safe as well. So we also get involved in, like I said, the maintenance aspects of what the aircraft will be, tracking your information, and helping with all the other business aspects. You had mentioned insurance there as well. So it's really a soup to nuts operation that we perform where somebody comes in and says, yes, I want to get started. How do I do this? And we give you the keys to the kingdom of how you will conduct your business in whole. And you can take these documents and the work that we do, and we'll help you when you go out for your first clients to say, here's what you need to present. This is what you need to discuss.
Great.
To help, because you're talking to managers at this point who have financial assets they have to protect. And so that's what your new role becomes. And that's what separates us out from just the template side. This is more of a business look.
Fantastic. Because you mentioned per site, different. It might be different for each site you go to, which is one of the things that will be talking about is doing a pre-job walkthrough or pre-shoot walkthrough. Go to the site a day or two before the appointed time, do a walkthrough with the person who is going to be hiring you or a on-site manager and say, this is something that the shots you want to get, things you need to be watch out for, such as power lines or other cables or Wi-Fi signals or poor GPS signals or whatever else may be. Do the walkthrough, take notes, come up with your flow of shots you want to get and what the customer wants, and then have that all written down and you can be aware of what you need to do before getting to the site and saying, oh, let's take a look around. It's being prepared.
Absolutely correct in all of that. And then look at what your risks are around you. What can you mitigate now? I have one client that will take 2 airplanes out to the site. One is the heavy lift that will carry the big cameras to do what they need to do. And the secondary will even go up in some respects 50 feet and do a quick survey around the sky to look for other obstacles in the area they're not seeing. So they can use an inexpensive one, if you will, to get that assessment and then fly the op with the big heavy one. So that's the last thing you want to do is take a big heavy aircraft with heavy expensive payload to a risky environment. So you're absolutely right, Sam.
And plus, it's good to have a backup because you wouldn't want to show up for the job and not have the UAV or drone not take off or not do its job.
Absolutely right.
It's good to have the backup just in case.
2 is 1, 1 is none.
Okay. I would say, wow, this has been great. There's so much more that we could talk about, such as airline safety concerns, the safest way to transport lithium-ion batteries, and so much more. But let's save that for another show. Until then, how can people engage your company services and contact you?
We're found at SkyGenAviation.com. It's SKYGEN aviation.com, and where they can talk to us about the 333 or just ask questions. Because as you mentioned before, I'm the chair of the San Diego FAA safety team for UAVs, and we do a lot of education outreach. You know, what do I need to know? What other nuances pop up? So we're happy to help with that, as well as conduct a commercial op if somebody needs. So full service agency, and really appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Okay. Thank you very much, Grady, for sharing all this wonderful and insightful information.
Anytime.
If anyone listening or watching to this show missed anything we discussed here today, please come on over to our website, resultswithdrones.com, for notes and links to all this information. Take care, and remember to plan your flight and fly your plan. Okay.
No, you're right, buddy. You started touching on a lot of stuff there, and yeah, I like the name of your website and what you're doing because.
Thank you very much for listening to or watching this episode of Results with Drones. We hope you found it valuable. What we'd love from you next is to go to our website, resultswithdrones.com, and click on the subscribe button at the top corner. Or if you've already done that, go on over to iTunes or Stitcher or whatever your podcast application is and write us a review. We'd appreciate that. Thank you very much, and we look forward to chatting with you on our next episode. Please remember to plan your flight and fly your plan. Bye-bye.